Thank you. The state calls Officer Kevin Sapp. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Officer Kevin Sapp, S-A-P-P.
And officer, you look like a police officer, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and where do you work?
I work for the City of Flagstaff as a police officer.
And how long have you worked there?
4 years in Flagstaff.
And before that?
I worked for the City of Avondale as a police officer for about 3.5 years.
Okay. And what's your current assignment up here?
I'm assigned to patrol. Currently, I'm working the day shift.
Was that your assignment in October of 2015 as well?
Yes, patrol.
And what shift did you have at that point?
At that point, it was the graveyard shift.
All right, let me bring you back to that time period, specifically October 9th, 2015, early morning hours. Were you called out to a scene at that point?
Yes.
And what do you recall from the dispatch? What was the reason for the call?
NAU PD was requesting additional officers to the scene of a fight with a single gunman and multiple gunshot victims.
Okay. And did you respond at that point?
Yes.
You recall what time it was?
It was about 1:20 in the morning.
All right. When you arrived, just describe for the jury where you parked.
I parked just west of the intersection of Franklin and Verde.
And in relation to where Mountain View dorm is, where is that?
Pretty close to in front, just a little bit to the east of it, to the north of the Mountain View dorm.
Okay. And when you got there, what did you observe?
There was a few other vehicles with their lights still activated. I observed a female running pretty frantically towards my vehicle as I was getting out. Shot in the neck.
Okay. Did you at that point follow her and find out what that was about?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you go?
I went to apartment number 1 at 262 East Franklin Ave.
And what did you observe there?
There was multiple people inside. I observed a subject laying on his back, holding his neck, and there were some other gentlemen around him.
All right.
Coaching him.
And what do you recall what he was wearing? The subject you indicated was on his back?
He was wearing a white shirt.
Okay. Was he saying anything at that point?
He communicated that there was a single suspect with black hair down to his eyes. He described him as being sort of tan with brown eyes.
Okay. What, and let me go back a little bit. Were you able to identify who that young lady was that you spoke to earlier?
Yes.
Who was that?
Abby Norcutt.
Okay. And the subject you indicated was on the ground holding his neck. Who was that?
That was Nick Prado.
Now, as a police officer, do you carry a body camera?
Yes.
Okay. On that night, that specific night, did you have a body camera activated?
Yes.
And did it capture some of this interaction that you just spoke about?
Yes, it did.
Move to admit 359 at this point.
Nothing to add to our previous objection. 359 is admitted.
And permission to publish at this point, Judge?
Go ahead.
And again, for the record, counsel will stipulate to not have Steve have to report this.
correct? All right.
All right, plane 359.
How many shooters were there? One shooter there in the parking lot and back in. Black hair. Black hair. Down to his nose. Kind of tan. Brown eyes. Next. To the neck. Yep. Sam, let's get him out. Yeah. Foxy, talk to me, my brother's officer. I'm trying to help him stop me.
And officer, just to follow up on that, is that a portion of your? Sorry, I don't know why it does that. Is that a portion of the body camera footage?
Yes.
Okay, and you can't see exactly who's speaking, but who was the one speaking in that video?
Nick Prado.
And was he the person on the ground at that point?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
And were there other officers with you?
During that clip, I don't think so.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. McGowan or Mr. Davidson?
Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon.
Are you familiar with the term of having a round chambered?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means there's a bullet the inside of the chamber of the gun.
Now, in your experience, I'm sure you've had a round chambered before.
Yes.
Right. Does that mean that you, at the moment that you chamber that round, are intending to shoot somebody?
No.
Anything further?
Just briefly, how is a round chambered? What is the mechanism? And well, let me ask you first, officer, what type of gun do you carry?
I carry a Glock 25 40 caliber.
Okay, and how in that gun, that specific gun, how is it accomplished? How do you chamber a round?
If I had an empty gun, first I would put a magazine with ammunition inside of the magazine and inside the gun, and then I would manipulate the slide backwards and let it loose in order to chamber that round.
Okay, and this is a semi-automatic handgun?
Yes.
So after you chamber the round or rack the slide, it's ready to fire?
Yes.
Is there anything else you have to do to it to make sure it fires?
Round, and it chambers a new round immediately.
Counsel asked you if you have a round chamber, if that means you are intending to shoot at that time. What does it mean when you have a round chambered as a police officer?
That means at any given point, if I need to fire a round, all I have to do is draw my firearm and pull the trigger and it will shoot.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Let's see if we have any questions from our jury for this witness. Does not appear that we do. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Officer Sapp, thank you for your testimony. You are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next witness.
The state calls Adam Johnson.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or do you so affirm?
Would Mr. Shea?
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Adam Johnson,
Common spelling?
ADAMJOHNSON.
And Adam, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Have you recently or do you currently attend Northern Arizona University?
I do.
Are you also working?
Yes, sir.
In what field?
Construction management.
Directing your attention to the very early morning hours of October 9th of 2015. Do you recall that time frame?
I do.
After midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, at some point, did you arrive or return to Mountain View Hall?
I did.
All right. Were you alone or were people with you?
I was with two friends,
Who were they?
Ryan Morofsky and Blake Norton.
Where did you come from?
The Commons at Sawmill, just east of Mountain View.
Okay. Had you been drinking?
No.
Where did you all go?
We were out at a bonfire before that, and then just gotten dropped back off at the Commons, and then we're walking back down to Mountain View.
Is the Commons adjacent to the Grove?
Kind of catty corner.
All right. So you walked down Franklin Avenue to
Yes.
Mountain View? And then did any of you go to Mountain View Hall?
Yes, Blake and I did.
Where did Ryan go?
Ryan went to the courtyard where he lives.
All right. Did you enter Mountain View Hall?
Yes.
By what entrance?
The Gamma Phi wing door on the first floor.
Okay. Is that close to Franklin Avenue?
Yes, it's the closest door to Franklin Avenue.
Okay. And were you living there at the time?
No, I was not.
Why did you go to Mountain View at that time?
I'd left my stuff in there, my backpack, in our fraternity's chapter room.
Did you see any commotion, anything going on in the street before you went into Mountain View?
Not at all.
How long were you in Mountain View, would you say?
5 to 10 minutes.
And something caught your attention while you were in Mountain View?
Yes, as we were walking out, there were some girls frantic, kind of asking us or telling us, don't go outside, don't go outside, someone's shooting.
Okay, so what did you do, go outside?
I went outside. I was worried that my friend Ryan was maybe mixed up in it as he had just walked away from Blake and I, so I tried to run out to help what I could.
Did you go back out that same door?
Yes.
And when you went outside, what did you see?
There was a boy laying on the ground on the back in a small puddle of blood.
All right. Was anybody around him, or was it just him?
I don't remember. I believe it was just him.
And where was he laying on the ground?
Just outside the door on the sidewalk, right by that driveway that comes in from Franklin Avenue.
What did you do?
Ran over to him and tried to ask him what was going on, trying to figure out where he was, what had happened really.
All right.
And
where was Blake? Was he with you?
yes, he was right next to me.
All right. So did you attend to that individual on the ground there?
We attempted to, and by the time we had figured out what had gone on, the first police officer had arrived.
All right. All right. Let me back up a little bit. Before you went back outside, did you look out the window and see anything that was going on?
Yes, as those girls told us someone was shooting, we ran into their room to look out their window, and I saw an individual running south down that driveway in front of Mountain View.
Towards the track?
Yes.
Did you see anything else?
No, that was it.
The window that you looked out of, what floor was that?
The 4th floor of Mountain View. Technically the 3rd floor of that wing. The building kind of steps.
Okay, so there's one floor that's
Yes.
underground, or? Did the person that you tried to help tell you his name?
No.
Did you notice any injuries on him?
Yeah, he had been shot in the back.
And then the cops arrived,
Yes, sir.
and what did they do?
They restrained or took the shooter into custody and then told us all to get on the ground. And then as more officers arrived, they handcuffed the rest of us.
Okay. Fair to say they took somebody into custody,
Yes.
but you hadn't seen anything that had gone on. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So thinking back on it now, as you and Blake were trying to attend to the individual on the ground, do you recall whether there were other people around, moving? What do you recall?
Yes, there was another person who actually came up to where me, Blake, and that individual on the ground were, and then I could hear screaming in the far end of the parking lot. But other than that, that's all I really saw or heard.
And did you hear any gunshots at any point in time?
No.
All right. If I may refer, Judge, to Exhibit 316. Why is it blurry? All right, Adam, do you recognize what we're looking at if you direct your attention to the screen?
I do.
If you look on the desk in front of you, you might find a laser pointer.
Yes. Yes.
Can you see the door that you entered into at Mountain View?
Yes, that one right there.
All right. And is that the same door that you came out of?
Yes.
And then where did you find the individual lying on the ground?
Right there.
Okay. Maybe I'm confused, Adam. So how many people did you see, or including yourself and your friend Blake, how many people were in the immediate proximity of the individual on the ground there when the police arrived?
It was me, Blake, the individual on the ground, and there was also a fourth individual who came up to also try and help.
Okay, he came up after you?
Yes.
All right. And did you see anything else that was going on around?
No.
No questions.
All right. I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for this witness. It does not appear that we do. Can this witness be excused? Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Your next witness, please.
Thank you. The state calls Kyle Zente.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or do you so affirm?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you say or state your name and spell your last name, please?
Kyle Zentek, Zientek,
Thank you. Kyle, how old are you?
22.
And are you attending school?
Yes, I'm attending NAU.
What year in school are you?
Senior.
And what are you studying?
Finance and a minor in Spanish.
All right, good for you. What? So are you set to graduate this semester then?
Yep, couple weeks.
All right. Kyle, you've been here and heard some of the testimony today. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about the night of the shooting. Do you recall that night?
Yes.
All right. And we're going to get into what you recall specifically today. Let me take you back to October 9th or October 8th, 2015. That evening, do you recall attending a party?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And where was that at?
At the courtyards.
And was it with other people that you knew?
Yes. Other Delta guys.
Delta Chi's?
Yeah.
Okay, fraternity brothers of yours?
Yes.
And who was throwing the party, if you recall?
I was at Collins and Peering's house. I
All right.
believe.
Colin and Nick Peering's?
Yeah, at
Okay.
Mike's house.
And was there another party occurring in that same area in the courtyard,
I believe so.
in another unit?
I believe so.
Okay. Were you at Colin and Nick Peering's place the entire night?
I don't remember.
Okay. And what was the occasion? Why were you there?
It was just a Thursday night hanging out with friends. None of us had class on Fridays, so
Okay.
just hanging out with the boys.
And so you already mentioned Colin and Nick Peering. Were they there?
Yes.
And who else was at that unit that you recall?
I remember Jason Rodriguez and Zach Volpo and Adam Yock. But other than that, I don't remember.
Okay. How many people would you estimate were there during that night?
I couldn't give you an estimate.
Okay.
I don't remember.
That's fair. And I appreciate you indicating you can't remember. We just want your best memory today, okay, Kyle?
Okay.
When, how long do you recall being at that party?
Not very long. I don't. Yeah, just a normal night. Not
Okay.
really sure.
Were you living at that location?
No, I was living at the Commons at Sawmill.
Okay. And do you recall when you got to Colin and Nick Peering's place?
Somewhere in between 10, 11-ish, I'd say.
PM?
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, do you recall if you left that area and went somewhere else?
As far as somewhere other than the courtyard or
Right.
over to Mountain View or
Yeah. Did you leave the courtyard area? At
yes,
some
I
point?
did.
You recall when that was?
No.
And why did you leave?
I heard there was commotion. Something going outside. Something going on outside.
Okay. Which direction did you go from that unit?
Headed towards Mountain View.
Did you, if you recall, did you go out the back way or the front door? Or how did you get there?
I believe the front door, but I can't be positive.
And when you say front door, which door is that? Is that the one facing Franklin?
Yeah, facing Franklin.
Okay. When you got outside, do you recall what you saw, if anything?
It's just mostly like still pictures.
Okay. Do you have a hard time remembering that night?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to ask you questions, and if you can't remember, let me know, okay?
Okay.
And if you need a moment, let me know too. When, as you came outside, do you recall where you went?
Across the street to that kind of long concrete driveway.
Okay, and this is the one that's right in front of Mountain View dorm,
Yeah,
and it separates Mountain View from the parking lot, is that right?
exactly.
Okay. How far down that sidewalk or that ramp did you go?
Once again, it's more just pictures. I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, tell me the next picture that you remember.
I have a picture of about two guys to the left of me. A guy kind of to the right of them, and then a guy further to the right.
You recall where you were standing at that point?
I believe I was around the sidewalk area, and in between the sidewalk to the sidewalk that runs along Franklin, and then to the entrance to the door to Mountain View. That Gamify wing door,
Okay,
somewhere in that area.
all right. Do you recall who those people were that were next to you?
They weren't next to me. It was more distant, but
Okay.
I know the one furthest left to me was Nick Peering, and then the one to his right was Colin.
Okay. And go ahead. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. After, and so this was on that sidewalk area and was it past that gate entrance area to Mountain View?
I can't be positive. I don't remember.
All right. What do you recall after that?
I see another picture of just Colin kind of falling, not, in the motion of falling, and And then that's like the next picture.
Okay. When you say falling, do you recall how he was falling?
Like a statue just being knocked down, just
Okay.
lifeless, kind of.
Do you remember anything preceding that, preceding Colin falling to the ground?
That's when I started to, I believe, like run over to him.
Okay, and sorry, let me back up a little bit. You recall anything that happened right before Colin falling to the ground?
No.
Okay. And so you were about to say that you went to Colin?
Yes, I started running over towards there.
Is that the next memory you have after seeing him fall?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you recall right after that?
A light shine in my face that was really bright. And I'd known it was a gun at that time. I didn't hear any shots, but I've been around guns and knew what was going on. And as soon as I saw that light, I decided to turn around and try and run away.
Okay. You said you knew it was a gun at that time. What about it made you think that it was a gun from your memory?
I think I saw just like a silhouette, and then how Colin dropped. I don't know. I don't remember the shots exactly, but I think it was just instinct.
Okay. You said the light was shining in your face. Did it pass by you, or was it steady on you for a moment? Can you describe that?
It was steady on me. It was like someone had it right in my face.
Okay. Do you recall, if you can, how far away that person was that was holding that gun in the light?
I can't give an exact distance, but I wasn't very close, no.
Okay. When you indicated earlier that you turned to run, what happened at that point?
When I turned around to run, just felt something, and I dropped to the ground.
Okay. You felt something. Describe that.
It was the most painful thing, but I didn't feel a thing. I just couldn't move.
Okay.
I think I took maybe one or two more steps, and and I was lying on the ground.
So after you felt something, you feel like you went some distance, or you walked. How far do you think you went?
I don't know, maybe one, maybe two steps.
Okay. Where was it that you were feeling?
Everywhere.
Just you hurt everywhere, or what was the feeling exactly?
It was more that I just couldn't really feel anything, I don't think.
Okay. What's the next thing that you remember, Kyle?
I believe it was Paul Kinder that was lying next to me and just saying, "Hang on, hang on."
Yeah, Paul Kinder is
He's another Delta guy.
okay. Do you recall seeing him earlier?
I don't. I can't even make for sure it was him. I just feel like I remember hearing his voice.
Okay. And that's a good point, Kyle. I want to ask you, do you recall hearing anyone else's voice leading up to that point?
Oh,
Just images and the feeling that you felt?
just like still like shadow pictures, basically.
Okay. You recall what happened after that?
Next thing I come in, and I'm in an ambulance, and they're saying something, but I can't make it out. And that's it.
Okay. What's the next thing that you remember after that?
Waking up in the hospital. A couple days, Saturday, I believe, or Friday.
Okay. A couple of days after this.
Yeah.
Do you, When you woke up, did you know what had happened to you?
I was on a lot of medication.
Okay. Do you recall having a conversation with me, Sergeant O'Hagan, Mr. Shea at some point?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall how long after that this conversation was?
I don't believe I was in ICU, but I believe I was up in my regular room.
Okay.
So had to have been at least 4 or 5 days after. I'm not really sure.
All right. And at that point, were you aware or made aware of what treatment you had received?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what was your understanding about what happened to you?
I was shot twice in the back, one in the left butt cheek and then right in the right lower back. I had lost a kidney. I had to have some part of my intestines removed and a ostomy bag put on. I had believe a broken rib, a tube up my nose and down my throat, and pretty gnarly scar.
Okay. How long were you in the hospital?
I believe the first time I was in there 11 days. About.
Okay. Now, were these bullets? You indicated you were shot in the back and in the buttocks. Were these bullets removed?
One was still in my right chest, I believe.
Okay. Was that removed at a later point?
Yes, when they reversed the ostomy, about in December, I believe.
So clearly there are some things you don't remember from that night, right?
Yeah.
Since this happened, have other memories come back from the first time you thought about what happened?
Very small bits and pieces, but no.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes.
exhibits 308 and 309. Can you look at those for a minute and tell me if you recognize what's depicted there?
Yes.
Let's start with 308. What's depicted in 308?
The scarring on my stomach.
Okay, and are there multiple scars there?
Yeah, there's the scar. If you're looking at the picture on the left side, that is from the bullet, one of the bullets that was lodged underneath the skin. That like burned the skin. And then the scar in the middle is the scar from the incision when they went in. And then the scar on the right side is from the ostomy.
From the what? I'm sorry.
The ostomy.
Okay, and what's that?
Basically, I couldn't go to the bathroom for a couple months, so that's where I went.
Okay. So one of the scars does indicate where that bullet was removed underneath your skin.
Yes.
All right, move to note 308. It's relevant. I'm sorry, go ahead.
308 will be admitted.
And look at 309 too, Kyle, for me. If you can, do you know what we're looking at in 309?
I believe that's one of the bullet holes in my back.
You know, so there were two that you indicated. Which one was this?
That's the one in my back.
Okay.
Should be in my back.
Move to admit 309.
I'm sorry, what was your last answer, Mr. Zentek?
The one in my back. I believe so. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell.
Okay.
Might be my butt.
That's
The one on
fine.
my butt.
All
I'm not
right.
sure.
If you don't know, then I'm not going to move to admit it, Judge. I'll withdraw that.
I see my T-shirt up there, so I would say it would probably be one on my back.
Okay. I'll withdraw, Judge. I don't need to
All right.
admit 309.
All right, 309 is withdrawn.
Okay. All right, let me show you what's been admitted as Exhibit 308. What are we looking at here, Kyle?
The scar on the left side is where the bullet burned the skin and was right underneath it.
I'm sorry. Do you have a laser pointer up there?
Yeah.
Can you use that, please?
That scarring right there is from the bullet. And there's a scar that runs from right about there all the way down. That's from the incision. And then this scar over here is from the ostomy.
Okay. On 308, I don't know if you can, but can you indicate where that second bullet was removed?
It would be up here, a little bit out of the picture.
Okay. Just above would be the left nipple.
Yeah, more like by like the left armpit.
Okay.
I believe. Oh no. Would have been the right armpit.
Okay, on the right. So I know we're looking at it. So if we're looking at this photograph 308, would it be on the left or the right of the
I'm
photograph?
sorry. Yeah, it would be over here.
Okay. On your right side, left of the photograph.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Kyle, as you sit here today, are there any other images from that night that you can recall?
Sustained, can you narrow that down a little bit?
Sure. Well, let's take it step by step then. After leaving the courtyard, is there any other image before you saw Colin fall that you can recall that we didn't talk about?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Any other image after you saw Colin, you described him falling, any image afterwards that comes to your mind of a memory that you saw?
No, just the light.
The light shining on you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Sure. What are we looking for? Yeah, you're trying to find those exhibits? All right, let's stand at recess for about 10 minutes, 10 quick minutes. Please remember the admonition. Okay, I think, Mr. Davison, you agreed to allow the state to reopen for a couple of questions. Go ahead, Mr. Parker. Yes.
Just a couple more questions. I'm handing you what's been marked as 209 and 221. Take a look at those and tell me if you recognize what's depicted in those exhibits.
209 is the hat I was wearing that night, and 221 are my glasses.
Okay. Move to admit 209, 221.
209, 221 is admitted.
Thank you. And let me just publish real quick. First 209. What are we looking at here, Kyle?
That's the hat I was wearing.
Okay. And now 221. What are we looking at? 221.
Those are my glasses.
Next to that placard, 24.
Yes.
Do you have any memory of your glasses or your hat falling off?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Go ahead, Mr. Davidson.
Good afternoon.
I just have a few questions for you. I understand that you were badly injured that night and in the hospital for a while, but it's fair to say that you had quite a bit to drink before any of this stuff happened, isn't it?
Yes.
You don't have any reason as you sit here to dispute the toxicology findings that your blood alcohol concentration was over twice the legal limit for driving?
No, I don't.
You recall on October 14th, 2015, members of the prosecution and Sergeant O'Hagan came to talk to you at the hospital?
Yes.
Have you had a chance before testifying today to review that transcript?
Yes, I did.
Familiar with that?
Yeah.
How long, you've been in the hospital for about 5 days at that point?
Yes.
It's fair to say that in the 5 days between the incident and your interview that you received visits from both Nick Prado and Nick Peering, correct?
Yes, very brief visits.
Would you agree with me that when you spoke to the prosecution and to the detective on October 14th, you talked about there being a light or a flashlight involved?
I believe I mentioned something on the 14th.
But on the 14th, you didn't say anything about the light being shined right at you, did you?
I don't remember.
You didn't say anything on the 14th about the light even being shined in your direction, did you?
Do you have the transcripts where I said something about the light? I can see.
Yes.
This is Exhibit 101. Is that the transcript from your October 14th interview?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Take a moment, or however long you need to look through it, and let me know when you're able to answer the question whether you ever said anything about the light being shined at you or in your direction.
Can you point me to where it said I said something about the light, please?
Well, you mentioned the light on page 2, page 6.
Where on page 2?
Well, for example, on page 2, on line 4, you're talking about when you first noticed the pistol with the light on it.
Something with the light on it, yes.
Yeah. And then if you, just for example, go to page 6 on line 19, you also talk about something being pulled out with a light on it, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I think there's probably others too. My point is, throughout the interview, whenever you talked about the light, you never made any reference to it being pointed at your direction, correct?
No.
I asked that question poorly. When you gave the interview, you did or did not make a reference to the light being pointed at your direction?
At this time, I did not.
It's fair to say that your memory is somewhat limited, if not very limited, from the incident?
Yes.
Your testimony this afternoon, as I understood it, is that once you saw the gun, you turned around and you ran away, and then you were shot. Is that correct?
I didn't see the gun. I saw a light pointed at me.
Okay. You saw the light, but you understood that it was a gun at that point?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And then you turned around and you ran away?
I tried to.
And it was at that point after you ran away that you believe you were shot?
Yes.
You told the police something different on October 14th, though, did you not?
Where are you referring to?
Let me direct your attention to page 10, if I could, please. You see on line 11 where you're asked, so in other words, were you running toward the shooter or away from the shooter?
Yes.
Could you please read your response to the jury?
I think I was running towards the shooter to get his gun, and then, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I might have turned. He started walking more west, and I was walking, north or something. I don't know.
And then you're prompted with an okay, and you go on to state, I'm not really sure, but I thought I remembered it better, but I don't. Is that accurate?
That's exactly what it says.
You were standing to the south of Colin and Nick and Mr. Jones at the time that this all occurred, correct?
No, I was standing to the north, I believe.
Was there some point where you were standing to the south of them?
I don't believe so.
If we go to page 8. And you're asked about whether seeing, about the point in time when Colin is shot, and you indicate on line 16, yeah, I was right there. Question, okay, so you're a little bit more to the south of him, of where he was. Your response, yeah. Was that the information you provided at that time?
Yes. But I believe it was a confusion on my part.
Thank you for your testimony.
Redirect.
mention anything about the light pointed at you in that first interview. When do you recall remembering that, if that's what happened?
It was definitely later. I mean, when that interview happened, that was about day 5 in the hospital, and every day in the ICU before that, I had a button where I could get morphine every 7 minutes, and I was on a lot of medication the entire rest of the time. To be honest, I barely remember the interview.
Okay. And at what point did you think back and recall that situation you described with the light pointing at you?
I'm not sure. It would have to be some other time. I'm not sure.
Okay. And we just want your best memory today, Kyle. Today, as you sit here, do you have a memory of the light being pointed at you?
Yes.
And then you turned, and that's when you got shot?
Yes.
Counsel asked you about these visits you received from your friends, Nick Peering, Nick Prado. You indicated that they were brief visits. What was the nature of these visits?
They were just making sure I was okay. I don't even remember them really visiting. I believe I was still in ICU. I don't even know. I'm pretty sure there was the day they were let out of the hospital.
Okay.
Or discharged.
You have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Kyle.
All right, I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for this witness. Looks like we do, so I'll see counsel and the court reporter at sidebar. Do you remember how far you were from Colin when you turned to run?
Say around 20 feet.
The next question is, how far away were you from Colin when you saw him fall?
A bit further, probably 40 feet.
Follow up, Mr. Barker?
No, thank you.
Mr. Davidson? All right, can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you for your testimony, sir. You are excused.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and recess for the evening. Thank you all for your hard work. We'll get back together at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Please remember the admonition.